Here is one of history's most successful cases of philosophical identity theft. The word Epicurean, derived directly from the name of a philosopher who lived on bread and water, withdrew from politics, and spent his days in a garden having conversations with friends, now means this: a lover of fine food, luxury, and sophisticated indulgence. If Epicurus could read a modern menu that described its dishes as a true Epicurean experience, he would be genuinely horrified. Because what Epicurus actually believed about pleasure, happiness, and the good life is so far from what his name has come to represent that understanding it correctly might be one of the most practically useful corrections you ever make. This is where curiosity meets truth. Epicurus was born in 341 BCE on the Greek island of Samos. At 14, he became disillusioned with his teachers and began developing his own philosophy. At 35, he bought a garden in Athens, not a lecture hall, not an academy, but a garden, and founded a school he simply called the Garden. On the gate of his school was an inscription that read, "Stranger, here you will do well to tarry. Here our highest goal is pleasure." That inscription became the basis for 2,000 years of misrepresentation. Because the garden was not a place of luxury, it was a community of friends living simply, eating modestly, thinking carefully, and practicing something that the modern world has almost completely forgotten how to do, being genuinely content with what they already had. Epicurus's school was also radical for a different reason. It welcomed women and slaves, completely unprecedented in Athenian philosophical culture. The pursuit of tranquility, Epicurus believed, belonged to every human being equally. But here's where it gets truly interesting. Here is the correction that matters most. When Epicurus said pleasure was the highest good, he defined pleasure in a way that turns our modern understanding completely upside down. He distinguished between two types of desire: natural and necessary desires, food, water, shelter, friendship, freedom from pain and anxiety. These are the desires worth satisfying. They are limited, achievable, and their satisfaction produces lasting tranquility. Unnecessary and unnatural desires, wealth beyond sufficiency, fame, power, luxury, status, the constant need for more. These are the desires that destroy happiness. Not because they are morally wrong, but because they are structurally incapable of producing what they promise. The desire for fame does not disappear when a little is achieved. It intensifies. The desire for luxury does not produce tranquility. It creates new cravings. Epicurus called the highest state of pleasure ataraxia, freedom from anxiety, and aponia, freedom from physical pain. He was explicit. Once you are free from pain and anxiety, there is nothing more to add. You are already at the maximum. More luxury, more status, more possessions. These do not increase the total of happiness. They only vary its texture while multiplying its fragility. If this is already shifting something, you know what to do. Subscribe button is right there. Epicurus made 3 claims that are worth sitting with carefully. The first, friendship is the greatest single source of pleasure available to humans. Not romance, not achievement, not success. Friendship. He said friendship dances around the world, announcing to all of us that we must wake to blessedness. He built his entire school around it, a community of people living together, eating together, thinking together, protecting each other from the anxieties that come with navigating life alone. In an age where loneliness has been declared a public health crisis, where people have hundreds of online connections and almost no one they can call in a genuine crisis, Epicurus's prescription feels less like ancient philosophy and more like an urgent diagnosis. The second claim, stop fearing death. Death is not painful, he argued, because when death arrives, you are no longer there to experience it. The fear of death is irrational, a source of constant anxiety about something that, by definition, you will never actually endure. Remove that fear, and an enormous proportion of human anxiety simply disappears. The third claim: withdraw from ambition. His personal adage was live unknown, not because anonymity is noble in itself, but because the pursuit of fame and power puts your happiness entirely in the hands of other people's opinions. And other people's opinions are the least stable foundation for a life imaginable. Here is the single most powerful piece of evidence for what Epicurus actually believed. On the day he died, 270 BCE, Epicurus wrote a letter to a friend. He was in severe physical pain, his body was failing, and yet in that letter he wrote that despite the intensity of his bodily suffering, this was the happiest day of his life, because he was spending it reliving in his mind all the philosophical conversations he had ever had with his friends. The memories of those discussions, those simple, unhurried exchanges of ideas with people he loved, were providing more happiness than any physical comfort could have. This was not performance. This was not stoic posturing. This was a man dying exactly as he had lived, finding that the things he had spent his entire philosophy pointing toward were, in the final hours, precisely enough. Simple pleasures, good friends, a mind free from unnecessary anxiety, not luxury, not achievement, not the Epicurean restaurant menu. Just this. Epicurus has been misunderstood for over 2,000 years. His name was borrowed by cultures that wanted philosophical permission for indulgence, and they simply ignored everything he actually said. But his real philosophy, stripped of the misrepresentation, reads like a precise diagnosis of exactly what is wrong with modern life. We chase desires that are structurally incapable of satisfying us. We build identities around status and possession while neglecting the friendships that are the only reliable source of deep contentment. We fear death so constantly that the fear consumes years of living. We pursue ambitions that require placing our happiness entirely in other people's hands. Epicurus had a better idea: want less, fear less, friend more, think more. And on the day you die, may the memories of your conversations be enough to call it the happiest day of your life. Here's your question for the comments. What is one desire you're currently chasing that Epicurus would tell you is unnecessary and unnatural, and will never actually give you what you think it will? Drop your answer below. New Philosophy Explainer every Wednesday on Chasing Sunsets. Subscribe and hit the bell. Curious minds don't miss this one. This is where curiosity meets truth. See you next Wednesday.